Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite the show, as we have a lot to get to in the world of Southern California sports, such as the Galaxy. They did it. They wound up winning the MLS Cup, taking down the New York Red Bulls 2-1. How about that, as number 6 is coming back to the Dignity Health Sports Park. The Chargers unfortunately took a tough loss to the Chiefs as they lost off a joint-in field goal from the Chiefs. But the Rams have been red hot. They took down the Buffalo Bills, and they just took down the San Francisco 49ers. Can the Rams take one last push for the playoffs? We'll have to wait and see, because they just played last night, and they have themselves a nice little bit of a week off. And we've got some nice little college basketball teams doing well, as Irvine is still on the team. UCLA men's with upset Oregon. UCLA women's group is kicking butt and taking in. Again, it's thing for the Lakers, but they've kind of been up and down as LeBron James is out with a foot injury. Can the Lakers take down those Minnesota Timberwolves? Also, the Clippers lost their most recent game against the Rockets, but they're still doing pretty good. How far can the Clippers go the remainder of the season? All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. And welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Friday, wherever you were listening from. Either way, you've made your way to episode 205 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Without any further delay, let's begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and also make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We are trying to reach 500 subscribers by the end of this calendar year, if not 400. And with your help, we can definitely make that happen. We just surpassed 300, and we are very appreciative of those that have subscribed to IE Sports Radio. Also, make sure to check us out on other podcast platforms such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, GeoSavin, Podcast Addict, Podchaser. The list goes on and on. And also check out our website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our page dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, our merchandise shop, and check out our Hall of Fame, where voting is underway, and I am actually Hall of Fame inductee number 10. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel, to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. Before we get on into the sports action, we have to pave the way for our sponsors, Plant Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and Seal Video Wax Seals by Cecilia B. Also, we need to talk to y'all about what IE Sports Radio is all about. So without any further delay, let's get to it.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, as well as our website and our sponsors. We appreciate everybody for being supportive for IE Sports Radio. All right, before we get on into the action, make sure to follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on X, formerly known as Twitter, at SoCal Show ISR. And you can follow me, the host, on X as well, personally, at Teran Rodriguez 1. Without any further delay, let's get on into the action. So we have quite a bit to talk about. I'm going to try not to make this too long of a show, but I guarantee you it's probably going to be at least longer than an hour. So let's talk a little Chargers action. So unfortunately for the Chargers, well, remember how I was boasting about how the Chargers could possibly will upset the Chiefs? Unfortunately, it did not happen, as sadly those gutty little Chargers lost to the Kansas City Chiefs 19-17. It was such a tough one. I was honestly confident in the Chargers possibly beating the Chiefs on the road, mind you. This was a Sunday night football game as well. So, yeah, it also did not help that the Chargers were without J.K. Dobbins. He's on IR. It also didn't help that Ladd McConkey was a game-time decision, and he did not play, which really sucks because, man, if there was ever a game where the Chargers really needed Ladd McConkey, I think this was the game, just because Justin Herbert and the offense really could not get things going. So the Chiefs weren't really pulling away from the Chargers early on, but they were just defensively. The Chargers were just defensively for the Chiefs. They were just getting Justin Herbert, and unfortunately, they just could not get anything going. Run game was getting stuffed. Obviously, they missed J.K. Dobbins. I mean, Gus Edwards was good, but he was not great. And Kimani Vidal, he wasn't too bad. So, yeah, eventually it was 6-0 as the Chiefs were kicking field goals. They had a backup kicker. I think his name was Michael Wright, because as we all know, Harrison Butker got injured and he got sent to IR. And then the backup kicker eventually got hurt and he got sent to IR and then eventually released. And now Wright, who is making his first start and had stints with, I think, the Niners, he got the start for the Chiefs. And, yeah, he was just banging field goals. But anyway, so, yeah, the Chargers weren't getting blown out, but it seemed like they were down by much more. And what made matters worse is that Justin Herbert got hurt. I think he was on a pass. It was a long pass, which eventually got negated by a holding penalty. And then he eventually he got trucked by Chris Jones. And, yeah, that was just not a fun injury. And I was thinking to myself, oh, no, this is bad. And Justin Herbert has already been banged up as it is. So, yeah, Chargers were down 13-0 at halftime. It was just so bad. I mean, the Chiefs' lone touchdown came from Patrick Mahomes finding DeAndre Hopkins for the score. Which, I mean, God, if there's ever a receiver that the Chargers needed, it would be Hopkins. And I'm going to talk a little about that later. But thankfully for the Chargers, they did wake up in the third quarter. They finally got the run game going. Gus Edwards was able to rumble his way in for the score. They also got Kimani Vidal, which I thought was great as well. So, yeah, it was eventually 7-0, and then Chargers got the ball back. And I don't care what Chiefs fans say. I mean, the officiating was questionable on both sides, mainly against the Chiefs. But honestly, honestly, you can't. The fact that the fans were saying, "Ref, you suck" after bad calls. It's like now you know how other fans feel when it comes to them not getting the calls that they want. So, yeah, eventually the Chargers were able to go down the field, and Justin Herbert had all types of time to pass. Like, the O-line was questionable at best for most of the game, but honestly, in this touchdown sequence, Justin Herbert had all the time in the world. Heck, he probably could have ran for the touchdown. But he found Quentin Johnson for the score, and suddenly the Chargers were once down 13-0. They're up 14-13. But that obviously wasn't enough, as the Chiefs went down the field, got a field goal. The Chargers marched down, took a nice bit of time off the clock, but they only settled with the field goal. And then at that point, I was like, okay, well, it's either the Chargers get the stop or the Chiefs are going to get a walk-off field goal, because I was saying Chargers need to get the field goal. Otherwise, they're screwed, because you beat the Chiefs with field goals, not touchdowns. I mean, the Niners kind of learned that the hard way in terms of the Super Bowl, but I digress. Anyway, so, yeah, Chargers eventually got a late field goal. I think it was like 47 yards from Cameron Dicker, and eventually they went up 17-15, or 17-16. So it was looking pretty decent. It was looking like the Chargers might actually pull out the win, but there was plenty of time left for Patrick Mahomes, and all the Chiefs needed was a field goal. And eventually, that's what the Chiefs did. I mean, well, before we get on into the Chiefs' final drive, I hate to say this, and Cameron Dicker has been amazing most of the season. he had a bad kickoff, which didn't even hit the landing zone. Now, this is probably the one instance where I hate the new kickoff rule. I hate the new kickoff rule with its stupid landing zone, and then how the ball, if it reaches the end zone for a touchback, you basically it's basically you have to take it from the 30-yard line instead of the 25-yard line, which I think is stupid. And then eventually, and then there's just all sorts of weird rules and whatnot. So unfortunately, Cameron Dicker had a bad kick, which didn't hit the landing zone. Instead of being brought out to the 30, it was brought out to the 40, which was an even shorter field. Now, I don't think that was the game itself, but it made the Chiefs' lives a whole lot more simpler in terms of going down the field. Eventually, the Chiefs, they faced like 3rd and 10, but eventually got it just because Patrick Mahomes is just Patrick Mahomes, and it's just frustrating to have to deal with. I mean, the Chargers defensively did all that they could to just try to slow down the Chiefs, but they just found ways to get the ball to their receivers. Patrick Mahomes just had all times to throw and whatnot. So, yeah, eventually the Chiefs got into field goal range, and it was a crucial 3rd down. The Chargers were out of timeouts. They just had the 2-minute warning. It was like 3rd and 7, 3rd and 6. Pretty much the 3rd and medium process. And Mahomes actually what could have gotten sacked, as Deion Henley was right there to sack him, but Henley missed him. He just missed him, and then Mahomes just threw it, found a wide open Travis Kelce, which I'm surprised Derwin James kind of deviated from his assignment when it came to guarding Travis Kelce. I mean, that's the big thing right there. The Travis Kelce has always been a thorn in the Chargers side, but this time he was really quiet. He had only 45 receiving yards. He didn't have a touchdown, which that's always a good thing. So, yeah, the Chargers didn't really let the Chiefs pop off. But eventually, the Chiefs wound up going for the game-winning field goal. It was only a 31-yard field goal attempt, and it looked like it was veering left and hit the left goalpost, but it banked in, and that's how the Chargers lost, which the Chiefs find new different ways of winning, while the Chargers keep finding new different ways of losing. It really sucks because Justin Herbert had a Herculean effort to try to even get back on the field and try to play the rest of the way, but unfortunately, it was just not meant to be. The good news is for the Chargers, Justin Herbert, obviously, like I said, he had a good game, wasn't spectacular. Numbers-wise, he did kind of outduel Patrick Mahomes. He had slightly a little bit more passing yards. Obviously, fewer completions just because the Chargers need to get that run game going. Both QBs had 1 touchdown each. So, all in all for the Chargers, this was without most of their top defensive players. Like Asante Samuel Jr.'s out, which really hurts them. Like the Chargers at this point are starting 2 5th-round cornerbacks, which, oh my God, it's bad. It really is bad. Don't get me wrong, they're not playing terrible, but they really could use Asante Samuel Jr. or at the very least any sort of cornerback. This is really where you wish you still had a few of your corners, but it is what it is. Like Michael Davis or like I said, Asante Samuel Jr. I really wish the Chargers didn't let Michael Davis Jr. walk out the door, but I digress. So yeah, the Chargers are 8-5 as they're back in action this Sunday as they face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, thankfully for the Chargers, they're facing Baker Mayfield, who the Chargers have actually had a lot of success against, whether it's with the Cleveland Browns or whether it's with the LA Rams. This is actually going to be Baker Mayfield's third game at SoFi Stadium in 4 seasons, as he had the 2021 game with the Cleveland Browns, the 2022 game when he was with the Rams, and now he's going to be a member of the Bucs as a member of the Bucs. So you have that. That's kind of your little Snapple fun fact. So yeah, this is going to be such an interesting game. So let's actually take a look at the injury report, because it was looking rather fascinating, and I almost kind of got confused that I almost forgot that it was Friday. I thought yesterday was Friday, but it isn't. So, and I'm looking at the wrong thingy-majig. But yeah, looking at this game against the Bucks, this was kind of nearly an evenly matched game. And I think this is a low-key, really sneaky good game, which actually could decide quite a bit from both squads, just because both the Chargers and the Bucks are fighting for playoff implications, because the Bucks now have the lead in the NFC South, while the Chargers are still fighting for a spot in the wild card spot. I guess I should mention that the Chargers are, with that loss to the Chiefs, the Chargers are now 6th in the AFC behind the Baltimore Ravens, which really sucks. It's a bummer. As for the Chargers, their game statuses are as follows: questionable is Denzel Perryman and Lad McConkey. Out is Will Dissly and Jalen Reagor. So yeah, Will Dissly. I forgot to mention, Will Dissly had a shoulder injury right when halftime occurred. Like, he caught the ball, which eventually was the first down, which was the Chargers' only first down. I think their second first down of the second quarter. But then he got hurt, and he basically was out. And oh my God, I really wish the Chargers would go back to posting graphics of the injury report, but I guess not. So yeah, the big question mark is Justin Herbert going to play? He will be, despite having an ankle and thigh injury, which, man, that's tough. But thankfully, he is. Joey Bosa had a full practice today. He doesn't have a game designation. Darius Davis, he was limited the first 2 days, Thursday, Wednesday, but he had a full practice today. Will Dissly, like I mentioned, he's out. Justin Herbert had a full practice today. He has no injury designation. Tony Jefferson, has no injury designation despite being limited to the first 2 days and then full practice today. Khalil Mack, obviously not injury related. It's just his rest days. There's that. Lad McConkey and Denzel Perryman, like I mentioned, all limited practices throughout the week. They're both questionable. Trey Pipkins did not practice due to personal reasons on Thursday, but he did practice today, so he's good to go. And then Jalen Reagor, like I mentioned, he's out. I'm not concerned about Jalen Reagor. What I am concerned about for the Chargers is the fact that they don't have a tight end. So this is where you really miss either Will Dissly or you miss Hayden Hurst. See, this is kind of the whole thing of, I wish the Chargers had gotten a good tight end from the NFL draft, but unfortunately they did not, and they kind of got to suffer this. Now for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So out is Mike Edwards and the safety Mike Edwards and KJ Britt. Also out is Cameron Johnson. He's not all that to me, I guess. Antoine Winfield Jr. is out. Marquise Watts is out. Bucky Irving, he was on the list throughout. Well, Mike Evans, he had a hamstring injury Wednesday and Thursday. He was limited, but I guess he has no game status, which, oh, great. Last time the Chargers and the Bucks played, Mike Evans cooked the Chargers defense. But then again, that was when Anthony Lynn was head coach, and it was also when Tom Brady was playing, and he always owned the Chargers. Yeah, Bucky Irving is questionable. He didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday, and he was limited, so he's questionable. Other than that, I don't see any two notable names. They have, Sterling Shepard's questionable, but they've got Chris Godwin's out for the season because Todd Bowles is an idiot. Tristan Wirfs, he didn't practice the first 2 days, but he was limited. So yeah, so the Bucs have kind of been banged up as well, but some of their notable players have they're kind of on the mend, and they are leaning toward playing. So hopefully for the Chargers' sake, they can get it done. But let's just jump on into the prediction. So I've kind of dawdled around too much. I'm going to say the Chargers win this one, but it's not going to be easy. I have them winning 27-21. The Bucs are definitely good. And honestly, I actually wouldn't be surprised if this one was more high scoring than the Bengals game. But I think the Chargers can keep Baker Mayfield in check. Fun fact, Baker Mayfield has not beaten the Chargers, whether it's with the Browns or the Rams. And now he has his third different team. So I'm hoping the Chargers get the job done. This is a big game just because the Chargers, I forgot that they have such a quick turnaround on Thursday Night Football. And I really hate this. their game against the Denver Broncos was originally scheduled for Sunday, and it was going to be Browns-Bengals on Thursday Night Football. And I didn't even know this. The Browns and Bengals got flexed out of Thursday Night Football, and Chargers-Broncos got flexed into Thursday Night Football, which really sucks. I am so mad about that. Like, the Chargers now have no time, while the Broncos, I'm sure, are going to be raring to go. I'm not saying that the Broncos will be more healthy than the Chargers. A lot can happen in the span of these few days, but that's going to suck. But, yeah, I guess I should make note that the Chargers-Broncos game, I'm going to say the Chargers win that one 24-17. I think it's going to be just like the previous game, except with 1 point more. But yeah, I got the Chargers winning this against the Bucs and against the Broncos. Those two wins right there pretty much would guarantee a spot for the Chargers in the playoffs. I would be shocked if they won those two games and they still didn't make it, because they had 8 wins. Like, they got to be like somewhere close. And if they can get some help from the other teams, like maybe the Texans against the Dolphins, or maybe the Colts. Okay, the Colts and Broncos are kind of a double-edged sword. If the Colts win, then they get an inch closer to the playoffs. But if the Broncos win, then the Colts step back, and then the Broncos strengthen their grip on possibly making the playoffs, and then could possibly move up ahead of the Chargers. But I really need the Chargers to win. The Chargers need to win, and that's my big thing. It's at home. Maybe the Bucs just won't have their best game, but they've been playing great as of late. They've won 3 straight, but now it's time to see if the Bucs can win on the road. So I really want to see the Chargers get after it on this Sunday and this upcoming Thursday. But I swear, NFL, I can't believe they actually changed the rule where teams can get flexed into Thursday Night Football. But them's the breaks. But yeah, I got the Chargers winning this game 27-21, and then I got them beating the Broncos 24-17. Hopefully they have a better home experience against the Broncos than they did last year. That game we don't talk about. Anyway, but that's that for the Chargers. Now going on to the Rams. This was fun. So the Rams have now, don't look now, but the Rams have been so sneaky good. They have been actually legit this as of late, which I think is pretty darn good if you ask me. So the Rams, in their most recent games, so on Sunday I predicted the Rams would lose 31-21 against the Bills. I could not be more happy to be wrong, because they beat the Bills 44-42. It was a high-scoring affair where the Rams got the early jump. They eventually led by 17, but then we all know Josh Allen's not going to take that line down. But thankfully, the defense just – I don't know why the Bills just did so poorly defensively, but the the Rams had their way against those Bills, which I thought was pretty darn good if you ask me. So great job to the Rams on picking up that win. Like I said, it got a little dicey, but the Rams seemed to have an answer for the Bills. And then eventually they got the game-sealing touchdown as Stafford found Puka Nacua on a screen pass. And you're probably on a 4th down attempt. And you're probably wondering, well, why would the Rams go for it on 4th down instead of bringing in Josh Carty? Simple. Josh Carty legit nearly cost the Rams the game. So, yeah, he obviously had a missed extra point. He had a missed extra point, which could have put the Rams up by 10 following that Nacua field goal or that Nacua touchdown, but it was to no avail. And then eventually the Bills got a late touchdown. They tried to onside kick it with 2 timeouts remaining. Didn't work. And eventually the Rams were able to chew up a good portion of the clock. And then their punt actually was enough to chew up all the clock. And then that was that. So like the punt didn't even get a chance to reach the Bills because it went to the end zone. So yeah, I guess special teams is a good thing. All right, so there was that high-scoring affair right there. But now we got to get on into yesterday's game where, oh man, this game against the Niners, I was so looking forward to it. I was thinking we were going to get some haymakers, a high-scoring affair. But this game against the Niners, oh my God, this was sickening if you ask me. Woo! The Rams offense looked horrible in the first quarter. Rams offense just looked terrible. Rams offense, they had 4 drives, 0 first downs. 0 first downs. Thank you for popping in, Ralph. He says, good evening, Teran, checking in quick while getting ready for the Ins Report. Yeah, Ralph has his show, the Ins Report, at 5 p.m. Pacific time, just because he had to switch times with his shows. I kind of had to move this show forward just because of purposes of promoting the show more. Thanks to my boy Larry B. But I digress. But yeah, the Rams just had good chances of scoring, but they just could not get it going. But you know what else didn't help? The fact that it was raining in Santa Clara yesterday. It was raining in Santa Clara, and it was bad. It was bad news bears. Thankfully for the Rams, the Niners' offense was just as bad. Eventually, the Rams and the Niners went into halftime tied up at 3. Second half, Rams had to punt. Niners eventually got a field goal, and then the Rams were driving down the field because right at halftime the rain stopped, which was such a good thing. And then the fourth quarter occurred. Rams were inside the 10-yard line of the Niners. They couldn't cash in on a touchdown. They settled for a field goal. So suddenly it's 6-6. And then I don't remember if this is the drive where Purdy threw the interception, but it was this one or the next one. But it was a punt where eventually the Rams forced the Niners to punt, and then the Rams got a deep pass from Stafford to Puka Nacua. Unfortunately, they couldn't get any farther. They couldn't really cash it in for a touchdown again. So eventually, Josh Carty was trotted out, and he kicked a field goal. So thankfully, these field goals were fairly short. So the first field goal was the first field goal from Josh Carty was like from 48 yards out. Second one was from 23 yards out. Third one was from 27 yards out. Now this one was the drive where the Niners were driving down the field, and then Brock Purdy throws under pressure, right? I think he got hit as he threw, and then the ball gets lofted up. Kind of the whole F-it Jawan Jennings is down there somewhere. And then it landed right in the hands of Darius Williams, and it was an interception as he went into the end zone for a touchback. Eventually, the Rams went down the field, chewed up a lot of clock. Unfortunately, they couldn't cash it on the touchdown, but they didn't need to. Eventually, they kicked the field goal with less than 20 seconds remaining. So, yeah, it was at 18 seconds. This time, it was a 29-yard field goal. So, thankfully, Josh Carty can hit it inside 30-yard field goals. Otherwise, the dude would be putting the fries in the bag. So it was suddenly 12-6. And I basically said on X, if you were following along the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, all the Rams need to do is play smart defensively and don't be stupid. That's it. That's all the Rams need to do defensively, and then they'll win the game. On the ensuing kickoff, they kicked it right to Deebo Samuel, and he got all the way to the 35, and then the Rams get called for a horse collar tackle. It's like, that's not smart. Thankfully, it didn't matter as Purdy threw an incompletion, and then he got sacked on the last play. And that was that. That's how the Rams went from putting 44 on the Bills to putting 12 on the Niners, but still winning. Oh, this Rams team is so confusing. But the Rams did pull out the win. You know, that's big. It's the first time they've swept the season series against the Niners in a hot minute. I want to say it was like 2018-19 season when the Niners were just so banged up that they were pretty much in the ER or IR or the ICU. Regardless, the Rams wound up winning. It's actually the first time they've won 3 straight against the Niners since I think 1999 to all the way to 2001, which that's sad but impressive. that the Rams were finally able to do so. Also, the Rams were able to win on Andrew Whitworth's birthday. So for those that watch Thursday Night Football, good for you. Andrew Whitworth is a co-host with the crew, which I think is pretty awesome. So Andrew Whitworth has found something to do while he's retired. So great on Andrew Whitworth. And I just gotta say, I feel bad for the Niners fans that had to witness Sean McVay speaking with the Thursday Night Football crew after the game, but I don't feel bad, as Sean McVay was welcoming. He said, "We welcome all Niners fans." So I'm glad McVay handled it with class and dignity. And he didn't say, "Yeah, what happened, Niners?" And afterward, he said this. He said, "We have a lot of respect for the Niners." And you know what? Considering the Niners have gotten the better of the Rams in the past, and they had like 9 or 10 straight wins over the Rams in the regular season, it's a good amount of respect. And they've had a lot of success, most recently, obviously make it to the Super Bowl last year, unfortunately falling short to the Chiefs. But yeah, I do have some respect for the Niners as well, even though I'm a SoCal guy. And I'm just going to say, the fact that Brock Purdy, after the game, Brock Purdy basically praised the defense and he praised special teams. And he even said the Rams are a good team. But he also said this, and this really kind of broke my heart. He said, "I feel I failed the team." Now, that's kind of harsh for him. I mean, unfortunately, the guy got sacked on the last play of the game, and he did throw an interception, which eventually kind of cost the Niners. I feel that was kind of the turning point, because eventually gave the ball back to the Rams. Rams were able to march down the field and eventually go up by 6 instead of 3, whereas if the Niners were only down 3, all they needed was a field goal from Jake Moody. Instead, they needed a touchdown to win. And unfortunately, they just couldn't do that. And I mean, it doesn't help that Brock Purdy's receivers are literally dropping the ball, Deebo Samuel, or they're just not getting open because of the rain, or they're just basically throwing a fit like Deebo Samuel is. But I digress. But I did feel bad for Brock Purdy after he said that. After he said, "I feel I failed the team." At least he took accountability, which I gotta give him praise for. Like, the dude had so much accountability for his team, and it's not even all his fault. I mean, yes, the turnovers and the sack could have been avoided, but that last play of the game was basically he needed a Hail Mary, and he didn't want to just chuck it up there and all for naught. But yeah, so the Rams are 8-6 throughout this season, which I think is pretty darn awesome. So they only have 3 games to go. We don't need to preview their game against the Jets, but yeah, the Rams are 8-6 with 3 games to go, and they trailed the Seahawks by a half a game. So remember when the Rams were 1-4, and I was kind of saying, is it time to basically hit the panic button? Well, I'm just gonna say, I don't think we need to hit the panic button now, because ever since that 1-4 start and following the bye, the Rams are 7-2. I mean, the loss against they lost to the Dolphins. That could have definitely been avoided, just because the offense just did not. Okay, I wouldn't say they didn't show up, but it just wasn't there. And then the Eagles' loss was a lost cause, because the Eagles just straight up are they showed why they're one of the best teams in the NFC. So yeah, unfortunately for the Rams, those 2 losses kind of got away from them. I mean, the Dolphins' loss could have definitely been avoided, but it is what it is. So yeah, the Rams don't play until not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, when they travel to New Jersey to take on the Jets. So thankfully for the Rams, they get a nice little break. They get to rest. I actually do want to see the stats for the Niners Rams game, because I don't think Matthew Stafford was sacked, and if he was sacked, I think it was only for 1 time. Let's see, sacks. No. Matthew Stafford didn't get sacked in this game. He didn't get sacked in this game, nor against the Bills. So the O-line deserves some praise. Like, this is an O-line that was either young, beat up, or just not as great as other O-lines. But the fact that they allowed 0 O-lines, and keep in mind that Nick Bosa Nick Bosa came back from his injury, and then Dre Greenlaw also came back. They also had Fred Warner as well. They also had Talanoa Hufanga as well. So, yeah, the fact that the Rams literally were able to win and not allow Matthew Stafford to get sacked is quite phenomenal. And the fact that the Rams won a game in the Sean McVay era without throwing a touchdown is quite phenomenal as well. So the Rams are a very confusing team. Like, one week they're dropping 44 and they're in a high-scoring affair against one of the better teams in the NFL. And then they're in a defensive slugfest in rainy weather against their division rival who's fighting for its playoff lives. So, yeah, a very good win for the Rams. As I want to did they win? Was their game? Yeah, last year they did win at a Levi Stadium, but that was a game where every backup was playing and playoffs were decided for the both of them. But I digress. So yeah, Rams have a few days off, and we don't need to talk about them until next week. So that'll do it for the Rams portion of the show. We're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. I know I'm 41 minutes into this thing, but when we come back, we've got some MLS to discuss as the Galaxy, their MLS Cup champion. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows such as Let's Whine About DMV Sports with Mike Pat, which will be going live tomorrow. So I imagine Also, check out the Neutral Zone with Adam Karnick and Zach Puplis, which goes on every Tuesday, which will be talking about Kings and Ducks. Kings are doing pretty good still, while the Ducks, they're the third worst team in the NHL, which, oh God. I mean, they just acquired someone good, but I think from the Tampa Bay Lightning, but they haven't been able to use all that to their advantage. Anyway, so there you have it right there. But let's talk a little MLS, as the Galaxy did it. The Galaxy won their 6th MLS Cup as they beat the New York Red Bulls 2-1 last Saturday. So this was an interesting game. So first and foremost, it was being played since the Galaxy were the higher seed, and I hate this for New York Red Bulls fans, but it is what it is. The game was played at Dignity Health Sports Park. The location went to the higher seed. I mean, LAFC fans were probably livid at about this, and about this last year when they saw their team having to play at Columbus against Columbus Crew. But yeah, New York Red Bulls had to travel to Dignity Health Sports Park, which I've been to play the Galaxy. So early on, the Galaxy, they got off to such a good start. Like, first 13 minutes of the game, the Galaxy had 2 goals. 2 goals. Yeah, that's as good of a start as you'll get for if you're the Galaxy. Normally in the MLS, there's the old saying where a 2-0 lead is the worst lead in MLS. Normally I think of it as 3-0 as the worst lead in the MLS, which is the worst lead in the NHL. But for the Galaxy, it was the best thing for them because they were up 2-1. Then at about the 30th ish minute, the Red Bulls were able to get back a goal. They were able to score. So suddenly it was 2-1. So just like that, the lead was cut in half. That's why I always am so precarious when it comes to things like that. Like when it comes, like I always think that 3-0 or a 3-goal deficit is the worst lead to face if you're an opposing team. But for the Galaxy, I think 2-0. I was thinking that this was going to be a shootout because the Galaxy had they had one of those high scoring affairs earlier in the playoffs where they had 2 goals against the Minnesota United. So it was 2-1 at halftime. But as time went on, neither team could find the back of the net. Now, for the Galaxy, that was good just because the Galaxy was doing everything in their power to make sure the Red Bulls couldn't tie. And thankfully, they just had enough in the tank. They just could not allow the Red Bulls just could not get the equalizer. And you kind of got a feel for the Red Bulls because they were in search of their first ever MLS Cup, while the Galaxy were trying to complete their rags to riches story or their worst to first story, which someone was going to be making some sort of history. But unfortunately for the Red Bulls, the Galaxy were able to hold on. They eventually wound up winning 2-1, and the celebration was on as the Galaxy wound up winning their first MLS Cup in 10 years. And then they also won their 6th. So I only wish I could someone would make like a parody version of Avengers Endgame where Thanos gets the 6th Infinity Stone. So just like Thanos getting the 6th Infinity Stone, the Galaxy got their 6th MLS Cup, which I think is pretty awesome. So yeah, great win for the Galaxy. Amazing season. So let's go over who scored. So 9th minute, it was Jose Painstill. And then 2 minutes after that, Dejan Hovlicic scored for the Galaxy. And then for the Red Bulls, you had Sean Nealis scoring in the 28th minute. I said 30-ish minute, but it was a little under that. So, and the Galaxy also covered. So, yeah, the bet line was the Galaxy minus a half a goal, and the over-under was 2.5. So the Galaxy, if you had the over and you had Galaxy minus 0.5, good job. But, yeah. This was the Galaxy just really impressed, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Great job to the Galaxy. Congratulations to the Galaxy. Now, my thing is, and I hope they don't let I hope they just don't let this get to their head. I hope they don't think of themselves as cocky or overconfident, but that was awesome. And the big thing is that the Red Bulls actually dominated time of possession. They had a little over 58% of possession, while the Galaxy had a little over 41%. The problem was for the Red Bulls is that they only had 3 shots on goal. Obviously, one went in, and the Galaxy weren't really all that busy. In attendance, there were 26,812. The Galaxy had 6 shots on goal, and they also had 4 corner kicks. The Red Bulls had 6 corner kicks, and their goalie was fairly busy as he had 2 saves. But in the end, it didn't matter as the Galaxy wound up winning. So I just got to say, let's recap how the Galaxy went from the worst team in the MLS last year to now being the best team in the MLS this year. So you have to remember, last year was such a gong show of a year. It was so bad. It was to the point where they were the lowest ranked team in the MLS rankings via ESPN. And even one reporter called the Galaxy the most unserious MLS organization, which, man, that's got to hurt right there. If you're a player reading that, that's got to hurt your soul. If you're a coach or a manager reading that, that's got to hurt your soul. If you're a GM or owner reading that, that's really got to hurt your soul. And if you're a fan, you're probably just punching air because the Galaxy are unserious, while little brother LAFC is making the MLS Cup Championship, which they were able to do so last year, losing to the Columbus Crew, and 2 years ago when they wound up beating the Philadelphia Union in probably one of the more eventful MLS Cup matches you will ever see, where they wound up winning in penalty kicks, which that was basically snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. But yeah, this was such a great turnaround for the Galaxy. They fell short of winning the Western Conference. That's kind of their only blemish. And the Galaxy also wound up winning their tournament. I think it was the U.S. Open Cup. So the Galaxy won that. They won the MLS Cup. They finished right behind LAFC in the Western Conference standings, which if the Galaxy did not go on a little bit of a cold streak while LAFC went on a win streak, I don't know. Would it have mattered? Because I think the Galaxy not winning the Western Conference was the best thing for them because it kind of grounded them and it kind of opened their eyes a little more, saying, you know what, we're not fully invincible, but this was our wake-up call, because I think the Galaxy were kind of getting too big for their britches. It was great that they were winning, and it was great that they had a massive turnaround, but you know what wasn't great? Them just not having some sort of adversity where they needed to reevaluate themselves and look themselves in the eye. So that was kind of the turning point right there, losing to the Houston Dynamo and eventually beating I think they were the ones that beat the Dynamo. I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, the Galaxy had a nice little turnaround because I know they beat the Rapids and they didn't beat Minnesota. They didn't beat Houston in the playoffs. That might have been the LAFC. That might have been LAFC that beat the Houston Dynamo. But I digress in that regard. So yeah, that was just straight. That was just amazing, unbelievable right there for the Galaxy, just winning that game. I'm just at a loss for words right there. Great job to the Galaxy. Now, I feel bad for the New York Red Bulls. I feel horrible. I feel heartbroken for them. Obviously, they're still in search of their first MLS Cup championship. I really would like to see them win one. But let's be honest with ourselves. We're not going to, if as long as it's not against LAFC or the Galaxy, I'm fine with it. But, I think for the Galaxy, going back to them winning the whole shebang when it came to the MLS Cup was amazing. That was kind of my major fear. I feared that the Galaxy were going to win an in-season tournament, and then they weren't going to win the big one, which truly matters. But thankfully for the Galaxy, they were able to do so, which they wound up winning when it matters most, and that was pretty much that right there. So, yeah, great job to the Galaxy. I'm so happy for them. And I guess it's a little early to speaking of LAFC, speaking of them, they actually found out that they will be playing in the CONCACAF championship in the first leg, and that will be the Colorado Rapids. So this is going to be on February 4th, 2025. So that's not going to be until next year. So we have plenty of time to look at that. But yeah, oh my God, it got dark pretty quick. So yeah, that's who LAFC is going to be playing. That's a little bit of some MLS news right there for LAFC. But back to the Galaxy. Congratulations to the Galaxy. Congratulations to all the players. And this is what happens when you fire a GM who's incompetent. You actually bring on a competent GM who actually knows what he's doing. So thank God the Galaxy got rid of Chris Klein and they got their you-know-what together. And I'm glad they were able to turn themselves around. So that is that for the MLS portion of the show. We're not going to be talking about Galaxy or LAFC until next year, as cliche as that sounds. But yeah, that's that for the Galaxy, and I'm really proud of the Galaxy. I promise you, I'm not going to cry. But yeah, I'm proud of the Galaxy. They went from worst to first, and that is all that matters. I could not be more happy for the Galaxy. All right, we're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break. Got to turn on some lights. When we come back, we've got some Lakers and Clippers to discuss. We also got some college hoops to discuss. Then we've got the Dumb of the Week. So keep it locked here. You were listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, everybody? This is Teran Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Calise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports, and I will update you on all that's black and gold. Have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Calise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
And we are back with the final segment of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, such as the Injury Report, which is actually currently going on right now. Also, check out my other show, Set Point, which NCAA women's volleyball is fully underway. We're already into the Sweet 16 or the regional semifinals. Tomorrow is the Elite Eight for those that actually care. Unfortunately, there are no SoCal teams as USC and LMU both lost in the round of 32. USC lost to Texas, while LMU lost to Stanford. So, LMU, why'd you got to lose to Stanford? But I digress. All right. But that is going to do it for that little bit of an update there. Also got to give a quick congratulations to UCLA's men's water polo team. I've got some buddies on there. They wound up beating USC for the national championship. I think it's the 124th national championship for UCLA as a school, which I think is pretty cool. And the interesting thing about UCLA men's water polo is that they actually lost to USC in the MPSF championship, and they wound up beating USC when it truly matters. So great job to UCLA men's water polo, and tough loss for USC men's water polo. Just goes to show you got to win when it truly matters. But that is going to do it for that little bit of a quick little update right there. And then I guess we'll make a quick note of USC's bowl game. So their bowl game has finally been decided. So they will be playing Texas A&M in the Vegas Bowl. So USC started their season in Las Vegas, and they'll be ending their season in Las Vegas, which I think is pretty cool right there. So, yeah. Texas A&M is going to be a tough opponent. We won't go into that matchup right away. We won't preview that matchup right away. But I think it's going to be a nice little game right there. And for it being the Vegas Bowl, that's a pretty good bowl game right there. So I like to see USC end off the season with a win. And honestly, I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if it's just the Vegas Bowl or not. The fact that USC has the honor of going bowling is a complete honor on their part. And I think they should be happy with bowling, no matter what anyone says. So to the haters out there that says, oh, well, this bowl game isn't as good, or if it's not the Rose Bowl or the National Championship or the Sun Bowl or whatnot, screw you. Anyway, but that's that little quick update right there. So now let's jump on into the Lakers. So the Lakers had themselves a split last week. Last Friday, they lost to the Atlanta Hawks in a heartbreaking fashion. They lost off of a pretty much walk-off three-pointer from Trae Young. Of course they would lose via that. And then, thankfully for them, they bounced back as they took down the Portland Trailblazers, which they got to beat that team. They have to beat that team. Thankfully, they didn't need the head coach of that team to hold their hand like the Utah Jazz coach did, but I digress. So yeah, the Lakers are 13-11, which they really could improve on that, honestly. I mean, I'm not trying to say that the season's over, but honestly, it's still pretty ugly on their behalf. But they're back in action tonight as they head down to the Twin Cities to take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Lakers can do. I'm going to be seeing a lot more NBA and the Lakers now, since I'm going to be traveling down to Dallas-Fort Worth to visit my brother. Yeah, that's something fun fact about my brother. He loves watching the NBA, more so than college hoops. I'm kind of a little iffy on the NBA. I mean, I used to love it, but I've kind of developed more into an NFL guy, and the NBA doesn't really play defense. All right, but that is that right there for the Lakers. Yeah, and I guess I should also mention that LeBron James is battling a foot injury, but even Snoop Dogg says the Lakers need to make some changes. I really wish I could have the answer for that. And the Lakers need to get Anthony Davis some help. Yes, everyone keeps saying they need to get LeBron James some help, but honestly, Anthony Davis needs some help. He's leading the team in points per game. I'm surprised he doesn't lead the team in rebounds, but LeBron James, oh no, that's assists. So he leads them in assists. LeBron leads the team in assists per game. Davis leads the team in rebounds per game, steals per game, blocks per game. Anthony Davis is looking like he could be Defensive Player of the Year. And that's kind of his main goal. And he's done a really good job. Like, pretty soon, and I hate to say this could be Anthony Davis's team. Once LeBron James finally says, I'm gonna take this moment to retire from the NBA and give my body a full-on rest, then it's gonna be Anthony Davis's team, and he's gonna take over the Lakers. That is, not take over the NBA. But yeah, looking at the Lakers' injuries, yeah, LeBron James is out with a foot injury. Well, so much for LeBron trying to play all 82 games. Austin Reeves is probable for tonight as he has a groin injury. Jalen Hood-Schifino is still out, which sucks. LeBron, like I said, is out. Jared Vanderbilt has been out since December 3rd. And then Jackson Hayes, he's been sidelined for 2 to 3 weeks. And Christian Wood, he also has a knee injury as well. So the Lakers are really getting hampered with injuries. So they really need to get healthy ASAP. They need to get Anthony Davis some help. All right, but that is that for the Lakers. Yeah, this Lakers team, it's looking like they're going to have to go through the play-in game again, which I really don't want to see the Lakers do. All right, but as for the Clippers, last time we talked about them, they played the Houston Rockets, and unfortunately they lost to said Rockets team 117-106 last Wednesday. So the Clippers return to action tonight as they play at the Denver Nuggets. Now, the Clippers have had a lot of success over the Nuggets. I'm hoping they continue to have that success over said Denver Nuggets team, even though they have kind of been hampered with the injury bug themselves. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard is out. Kobe Brown is out, but he was on court for shooting drills on Wednesday's practice. Like I said, Kawhi Leonard is out due to a knee injury. God, Kawhi Leonard has just been the most snake-bitten player ever. But I guess that's what happens when you go to the Clippers. I'm just kidding. Then Derek Jones is out. Terrence Mann, he had surgery to repair his fractured left middle finger. So, God, that sucks. PJ Tucker announced that he will be not with the team moving forward. Okay, so he won't be with the team due to, personal reasons. Okay. So the Clippers haven't been hampered too much. I mean, obviously, losing Kawhi sucks, but the Clippers are still fine with them. I mean, if anyone could bring out the best in some of the more unknown players or little-known players on the Clippers, it's Ty Lue. Yeah, and I also read on an article that Kawhi Leonard is practicing, but he's not rushing to make a return. So, yeah, Kawhi needs to take his sweet little time. This is his 50,000th knee injury with the Clippers and 50,000th knee injury altogether. And I feel bad for Kawhi. I like him as a player. He's a dog. But unfortunately, if the dude keeps getting injured, he's going to, I don't want to say this in a negative way, he might have to retire early. And I don't want him to retire because the dude was brought to the Clippers to try to break the Clippers curse. But it seems like the Clipper curse is growing, because he helped turn the San Antonio Spurs around following the retirement of Duncan. He won a championship with the Toronto Raptors, which included breaking the Drake curse. And now he was supposed to be brought on to the Clippers to try to break the Clipper curse. And the Clippers had their chances to break the Clipper curse. Obviously in the bubble in 2020, where they had the 3-1 lead on the Denver Nuggets, and then they blew it away, and then eventually the Lakers wound up winning the championship. The year after, where they went to the Western Conference Finals, only to get dismissed by the Suns, where that was the same year Kawhi Leonard got hurt against the Utah Jazz, and I think Game 2, and it's just been a bit of a uphill slope to try to get back into that domination. But it is what it is for the Clippers, and they're just going to have to play the hand that they're dealt. It's a tough industry, but sometimes them's are the breaks, sadly. All right, but that is that for the Clippers right there. Jumping into some college hoops. So some quick little college hoops hits. UC Irvine is still undefeated, which I think is pretty cool. It's time for UC Irvine to be ranked. Okay, I'm just kidding. I mean, UC Irvine has an undefeated record. They are undefeated, which I think is pretty cool. They're 9-0. However, I will just say they haven't really beaten anyone overly amazing. They are number 1 in the mid-majors via College Insider, but unfortunately their strength of schedule hasn't really been too noticeable. They haven't had the eye-popping wins that most people would want them to see. So it sucks, but hey, at least UC Irvine is undefeated. They're number 1 in mid-majors, which is non-Power 5 conferences, which I think is pretty cool. The fact that we are seeing a team like UC Irvine getting recognition like that. Like UC Irvine does have a pretty darn good team. Like their team is not great. I mean, they obviously win the Big West more often than not, with the exception of last year where they unfortunately lost to Long Beach State. But hey, UC Irvine always is consistent, and I think that is a great trait to have if you're Russell Turner's team. And the Big West Conference is already underway, and they did win their conference opener against the Cal State Bakersfield Roadrunners. And then there's also 3 more teams that are still undefeated in Big West Conference play in men's hoops, being Long Beach State, UC San Diego, and I think UC Riverside as well. But regardless, I think it's really cool that UC Irvine is making news for the right reasons. Not that they have ever been in the news for the wrong reasons, other than Russell Turner's post-game comments that one year against Oregon, where he was calling out, where he called someone by the last name of Queen, which I think was pretty funny, even though he was trying to make a point of saying that he was the most important player, like a chess piece is. But I digress. I digress in that regard. So, yeah, back to UC Irvine. I think it's cool that they are still undefeated, and I look forward to seeing how they can continue this whole thing. And don't be surprised if they can still remain undefeated, because that team is a very, very consistent program in terms of men's basketball. Like, again, Russell Turner has a darn good program. He is a darn good coach, and they're only getting better when it comes to the season. So hats off to UC Irvine and how they continue to, excuse me for 1 second. Okay, I wasn't going to sneeze, yeah. But back to UC Irvine being consistent. I think that's a pretty good trait to have, and maybe soon we'll see them ranked. But I do want to see UC Irvine's record and if there are any notable games which basically should have them ranked. I mean, for UC Irvine, my thing is for them, they haven't really been eye-popping. I mean, their wins haven't been eye-popping as most people would want them to be, but UC Irvine just continues to find ways to win, and that's amazing. So, yeah, they just beat Bakersfield yesterday, 82-66, and they also beat Towson, Kent State, Kennesaw State, Weber State, Pepperdine, Northern Iowa, LMU, and Chapman, which Chapman's not even in Division I. So UC Irvine's got Oregon State on the road tomorrow, and they've got Belmont on the 19th, and they've got Duquesne on the 21st. They've got CBU also on the road on the 30th. And then it's pretty much just Big West Conference from there on out. So that's that for UC Irvine. And then jumping to UCLA. UCLA's kind of been the talk of the town when it comes to the Big Ten. They actually did something I didn't think that I didn't even give them a chance at doing so. They actually beat a ranked team, a very good ranked team for that matter, as they took down Oregon most recently, number 12 Oregon for that matter, which I thought was pretty darn good if you ask me. So a very good job by UCLA. UCLA, everyone kind of, I wouldn't say that everyone kind of counted them out, because I think UCLA has looked good. I think UCLA does have promise. I think they can definitely continue to build off that, and I hope they can. So UCLA picking up that win over Oregon, which was number 12, that was big. And it was only a 1-point game. It wasn't like they just belted them. They put belt to butt. But, yeah, it was a good win right there, and I think that they can only go up from here. So, yeah, UCLA winning that is great just because you got to love UCLA. I mean, it's been a minute since they've had They've had ultimate success. And remember, they're in the Big Ten. Can't really say the same success that USC is having, but they're a young team. But I will say for UCLA, they are doing great in the Big Ten. Where are you, Big Ten? Yeah, UCLA, they're one of 4 teams that is still undefeated. And UCLA, if I recall, I thought they were supposed to be 24th. I don't know. But yeah, UCLA, Michigan State, and Indiana, they all are undefeated, with Indiana having only played one conference game. Oh yeah, Oregon's also ranked as well. They were 12, but they're probably going to go down the rankings because UCLA is them, and UCLA is just darn good. So yeah, UCLA beat Oregon 73-71. Like I said, and it was a road game. It actually was a road game. So kudos to them on doing so. And this was on December 8th. So this was Sunday. So the fact that UCLA did that was quite phenomenal. And they've only had one loss, which was to New Mexico State. So yeah, it's high time we put some respect on the Bruins' name. Speaking of the Bruins in basketball, UCLA women's hoops continues to kick butt and take names, as I didn't even know they got a really good transfer from Stanford. They got Lauren Betts from Stanford, which that is incredible right there. Having her on the team just makes UCLA really good. And everyone was on the hype train about USC winning the Big Ten and USC making a big jump because they made it all the way to the Elite Eight. But you may forget that UCLA made it to the Sweet 16 and then eventually wound up bowing out. But UCLA, they've got some good players as well. So don't even think for a minute that UCLA is forgotten. And remember, they were the team that just took down, and not just took down, they just hammered South Carolina, which I thought was pretty darn impressive right there. So yeah, UCLA in terms of women's hoops is on the map. They're number 1 in the nation. The Big Ten is really well known for women's hoops, as they've got USC ranked, Ohio State ranked, so on and so forth. And like I said, they've got some darn good talent on their team. And Lauren Betts' little sister is committed to UCLA as well. So that's cool right there too. So UCLA is back in action tomorrow when they play at Long Beach State. And then they've also got Cal Poly. They've got Creighton, which can kind of be a sneaky good game. They've got Nebraska and Michigan, back-to-back games, which I think is nice. They've got Indiana, then Purdue, Northwestern, Penn State, Baylor in a random non-conference game, and so on and so forth. But yeah, UCLA's roster is straight up amazing. I think it's really good. And they can only keep getting better from here on out. Like, the season's still young, but I think UCLA is going to continue to get better and better because Lauren Betts has turned this program all around. And it's not just her; it's Elena Amisalo that's been doing great guns. You also got Kiki Rice, who's done great. Gabby Jaquez, who is Jaime Jaquez's little sister. Janiyah Barker, who's averaging just a little under 10 points. She's been doing good as well. So I think this UCLA team is humming like a machine, and I hope they can get better as the season progresses. As again, they don't even have a player cracking 20 points, and they only have 3 players that are averaging double digits in terms of points per game. So there's that. All right, but that is that for all the college hoops, actually. That's basically the main notables for college hoops. Like, we'll try to get more in the nitty-gritty of college hoops and conference play once pretty much NFL season is over and done with, but I digress. All right, but now it's time for the Dum Dum of the Week. So Dum Dum of the Week goes out to – it's an award I give out to someone that does or says something dumb. No one is safe from this award. And honestly – there is only one person that I think is deserving of Dum Dum of the Week, and man, this person deserves it. So, going back to the Niners-Rams game, so you're probably thinking he's going to give Dum Dum of the Week to the Rams because they only put up 12 points. No, Is he going to give it to the Niners for only putting up 6 points? No. Is he going to give it to both teams for not even scoring a touchdown? Absolutely not. But I am going to give it to one individual on the 49ers. So if you watched the game, you probably saw that Devondre Campbell was ready to enter the third quarter as Kyle Shanahan wanted to pretty much have him enter the third quarter. But here's the thing. Devondre Campbell didn't want to do. He didn't feel like going into the game, which I think is pretty darn funny. And eventually, instead of going onto the field like Kyle Shanahan wanted him to, he went into the locker room. Yeah, so basically, Devondre Campbell, he didn't pull a Vontae Davis, rest in everlasting peace, but he did literally just check himself out. He chose not to play, which I think is absolutely disappointing. It's disappointing because, like I said earlier, Brock Purdy took so much responsibility. Remember when I said that Brock Purdy took accountability? Brock Purdy took accountability even though it wasn't all his fault because dude threw an interception and got sacked on the final play of the game. But he took accountability. Deebo Samuel, obviously he was a diva, but he took some accountability. And then you got defense take accountability, and even Kyle Shanahan has taken some accountability. But Devondre Campbell, really? Dude literally didn't want to play in the game. Well, Kyle Shanahan today, he said he's not going to be playing for the 49ers much long. He's not going to be playing for the 49ers anymore. So, in other words, he's going to be getting released sooner rather than later. So, no offense to you, Devondre Campbell, but get ready to put the fries in the bag because how could you make the decision of literally saying you don't want to check into the game? That's sad right there. That's absolutely sad and disappointing. Like, come on, dude. Like, how could you do that to your teammates? Your season is in jeopardy in terms of trying to make the playoffs. This is a big divisional game against your rival, the rival Rams, who beat you early in the season, and you chose not to go in? Are you dense? Are you that dumb? Because this dude, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, that's their defense. That's their team. The Niners got Devondre Campbell as basically a rental player, as Emmanuel Acho said in his rant video. And the dude literally pulled some diva crap. He was literally a diva saying, oh, I don't want to go in. It's like, dude, you get paid millions to go on the field. Like, do you know how many fans or diehards or former football players would kill to be in your position? Like, you're disappointing, dude. And I feel bad for the Niners altogether that they brought you on. They need to release him immediately. Niners, do the right thing. Cut him. Cut him. Basically say, we're done with you. Get him out of this organization. Have him go back to Green Bay or something like that. Because that dude is so disappointing. So, Devondre Campbell, you are this week's Dumb of the Week. I can't believe you quit on the Niners. And this is coming from a guy who is representing SoCal, a guy who covers the Rams, who covers the Chargers. And the fact that you gave up on your team in that moment, in that third quarter, when the Rams were trying to make their push, when the Niners needed to win that game, but now they're in a very precarious situation where they pretty much got to win out, and they need all the help that they can get. So Devondre Campbell's Dumb of the Week because he quit on his team, and he's an irresponsible mofo. So Devondre Campbell, you're Dumb of the Week. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And heck, we might even give this guy the nomination for Dumb of the Year because eventually I don't think that the Niners are going to make the playoffs, unfortunately. And sadly, I think it's going to be that sad reality. It's going to be that reality for Niners fans. And Devondre Campbell is pretty much on his way out. If Kyle Shanahan is saying he's not going to be playing anymore with the Niners, he's done. His time in San Fran is done. So, like I said, Devondre Campbell, you're Dumb of the Week. You better get ready to put the fries in the bag, buddy, because you are straight up cooked. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen anytime, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. I might be going live a little bit later for Set Point, just because I want to do a little bit of a Set Point extra points on the NCAA Women's Volleyball Tournament. So keep on the lookout for that if you're following me personally. But until then, have yourself a great rest of the weekend. For everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. I will see you all either later tonight for an episode of Set Point Extra Points, or I will see you on Monday for Set Point in its original show on its original time. Have a great weekend, everybody. And remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace. Bolt up, baby.